Let me ask you something that might sting a little. Have you ever been head over heels for someone who started pulling away the moment things got real? You found yourself checking your phone more than usual, staring at the last scene on WhatsApp, replaying every interaction, every smile, every word. And when he started ignoring you, your heart whispered, maybe he's just scared because he loves me. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. Love is not silent treatment. Love is not confusion. Love is not mixed signals. Let's break the illusion. Because if he truly loves you, ignoring you isn't how he'll show it. And if he's ignoring you, love might not be the word we should be using. We romanticize emotional unavailability like it's a badge of deeper meaning. We've been conditioned by movies, novels, and a lifetime of bad relationship advice to believe that when someone withdraws or disappears, it must be because they're feeling something so intense, so overwhelming, that they just can't handle it. The brooding man who walks away, that's supposed to mean he's thinking deeply about you. The guy who doesn't text back for 2 days, we're told he must be processing his feelings. But that belief system is a trap, and it keeps you locked into a cycle where inconsistency is confused for emotional depth. Real love doesn't evaporate when things get real. In fact, real love thrives when there's openness, honesty, and vulnerability. A man who truly loves you doesn't create space between you just to test your loyalty. He doesn't vanish to make you miss him more. He doesn't need to ignore you to create tension. That's not mystery. That's immaturity, or worse, manipulation. When someone loves you in a healthy, emotionally grown-up way, they want to be closer to you, not further. They don't run from connection, they embrace it. They communicate even when it's uncomfortable. They know that presence builds intimacy and absence builds anxiety, and here's the key difference. Someone who's emotionally invested wants less confusion between you, not more. They don't let you spiral into insecurity, replaying conversations and guessing your every move. Yet so many women are stuck believing the opposite. If he's ignoring me, it must mean he's scared of how much he feels. But let's flip that perspective. Isn't it more likely that if he's ignoring you, it's because he's not emotionally capable, or even willing, to connect with you on a deeper level? It doesn't mean you did something wrong. It means he's not ready, or he doesn't value the connection enough to maintain it. Real love doesn't need to pull away to prove it exists. Love is not a vanishing act. It's a steady presence. It shows up in the text that says, "I'm thinking of you," in the follow-up after a hard day, in the effort to connect, not disconnect. And if you find yourself constantly feeling anxious, confused, or unworthy because someone disappears when things get intimate, it's time to stop romanticizing their silence. Silence isn't proof of deep love. It's usually proof of emotional avoidance. Let's get really honest for a moment. Ignoring someone isn't romantic. It's not mysterious. It's not a sign that they're feeling something too profound to express. In most cases, it's a tactic. Whether consciously or unconsciously, ignoring someone becomes a way to assert dominance in the dynamic. And when you're on the receiving end of that silence, it doesn't feel like love. It feels like punishment. Like you're constantly being tested, and you don't even know what you're being tested for. When someone you care about suddenly goes quiet, your brain goes into overdrive. Did I say something wrong? Should I have texted less? Was I too available? You start to scan every interaction for flaws, and here's the danger. You begin to believe that you are the problem. That if you could just do something differently, text less, act cooler, play harder to get, then maybe he'll stop ignoring you and finally show up the way you want him to. But silence in this context isn't a form of affection. It's a form of control. It keeps you off balance, guessing, emotionally invested, while he gets to set the tempo of the relationship without ever having to meet your emotional needs. That's not intimacy, that's manipulation. And the more you try to decode it, the more power you hand over. What's particularly cruel about this dynamic is that it mimics the sensation of falling deeper in love. When someone pulls away, you often feel a spike in attachment, not detachment. That's biology. It's the scarcity principle. When affection is inconsistent, your brain views it as more valuable. You cling to the crumbs because they're rare, not because they're enough. But here's the shift you need. Love isn't something that keeps you in a state of constant analysis. If you're spending more time wondering why he's ignoring you than actually feeling seen, respected, and valued, then you're not in love. You're in anxiety. You're not building a bond. You're chasing a ghost. Someone who truly cares for you doesn't use distance to pull you in. They don't withhold attention as a strategy. They won't make you earn their affection through confusion. Ignoring is not some secret language of love. It's often the mask worn by people who either want control or don't want to confront their own emotional laziness. And you deserve better than a game where your peace of mind is the collateral. There's a trap that so many kind-hearted, emotionally intelligent women fall into, the idea that if a man is shutting down, disappearing, or emotionally unavailable, it must be because he's hurt, scared, or wounded. And maybe that's true. Maybe he had a rough childhood. Maybe he's been betrayed. Maybe he's never seen a healthy relationship modeled in his life. But here's where it gets dangerous. You begin to take responsibility for healing something that was never yours to fix in the first place. You start to think, if I just love him more patiently, he'll open up. Or if I can show him that I'm not like the others, he'll realize I'm safe. You think your kindness will be the breakthrough, that your emotional availability will inspire his. But what often happens instead is that your love becomes an emotional cushion. He doesn't have to grow or face himself, because you're too busy filling the gaps he won't even admit are there. This dynamic becomes exhausting. You become the emotional caretaker while he gets to stay emotionally protected. And because you're deeply empathetic, you might even start blaming yourself when he pulls away. You might think maybe I overwhelmed him, instead of asking, why is he unable to engage like an adult? And here's what you need to remember. Being emotionally immature isn't a sin, but refusing to grow while still expecting closeness is selfish. If he's running from intimacy, shutting down, or ghosting every time things get real, he's not just dealing with fear. He's making a choice not to confront his patterns, a choice to avoid hard conversations, a choice to protect his comfort over your clarity. It's not your job to drag him into emotional maturity. It's not your responsibility to be the bridge between his wounds and his healing. That journey belongs to him, and only him. Yes, you can support a partner who's willing to grow, but there's a difference between standing beside someone doing the work and carrying someone who refuses to lift a finger. You are not a rehab center for broken men. You are not the reward at the end of someone else's emotional avoidance. And if someone can't meet you at your level, emotionally, mentally, relationally, that doesn't mean you're too much. It means they're not enough right now. And that's okay, but it's also your signal to stop overextending and start protecting your peace. Love, when it's real, is unmistakable. It doesn't hide in the shadows or leave you wondering. It's not a guessing game, and it's certainly not something you have to beg for. One of the most powerful truths you can hold on to is this: when someone genuinely loves you, they choose you over and over again, not just when it's easy or exciting, but especially when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or real. So many people are stuck in relationships where they're waiting to be chosen, waiting to feel prioritized, and in that waiting, they start to believe that love is about proving your worth, being patient enough, being less needy, giving more than you receive. But that's not love. That's performance. That's emotional labor disguised as loyalty. If someone is making you question whether you matter, if they're treating your presence like an option instead of a privilege, they're not choosing you. They're keeping you around while they decide if they feel like showing up. A man who truly loves you doesn't keep you in the dark. He doesn't go silent when things get deep. He doesn't make you wonder where you stand. You don't need to scroll through old texts looking for clues. You don't need to ask your friends to help you interpret what he meant. Love is clear. It's intentional. It says, I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. That doesn't mean it's perfect. No relationship is. But consistency matters more than perfection. A man who loves you will be consistent in his effort, in his communication, and in his presence. He'll listen, respond, and make you feel emotionally safe. And if he's going through something, he'll let you know instead of disappearing. Silence won't be his language. Openness will be. If he's ignoring you, believe that. Believe what that behavior tells you. Because when someone cares, they don't want to risk losing you. They won't test how far they can push you before you walk away. They'll work to keep you close, to understand you, to nurture the connection. That's what love does. It shows up even when it's hard. You deserve to be chosen out loud, chosen proudly, chosen consistently. Anything less isn't a relationship. It's a negotiation, and love should never feel like you're trying to convince someone to care. It should feel like mutual effort, mutual care, and mutual growth. Always. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and sit with these words. If something in this message struck a chord, I hope you honor that feeling. You deserve a love that doesn't confuse you, exhaust you, or make you feel like you have to earn basic respect. You deserve clarity. You deserve consistency. And above all, you deserve to be deeply and fully chosen. Your time, your heart, and your energy are valuable. Don't spend them waiting for someone who isn't willing to show up for you. Walk away from silence, from games, from emotional unavailability, and walk toward peace, wholeness, and self-respect. You are not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. If this message helped you, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and help others find their way to the truth. Drop a comment below if you've ever experienced this kind of dynamic or if you're ready to break free from it. We're in this together. Until next time, take care of yourself, be bold with your boundaries. Be fierce with your self-worth, and remember, someone who truly loves you will never leave you guessing. Thank you, and goodbye for now.